So FoodSafeR is a project we started in 2022. Well, you can see it's a big consortium from academia, food business operators, technical providers and agencies. And like always in European projects, we try to cross-link amongst each other to have the best science possible. Also, and this is quite strong from the project, we have a very extensive international advisory board, which is also very active. So next month we have a meeting in Paris with all of them, and they are really giving a lot of input to us. So there we have people from US, from FDA, from FAO. So we really don't look only to the European smaller perspective, but also look a bit broader. So what is FoodSafeR about? We are trying to identify what are drivers and trends which are changing things in our food system. So typically we can look to the STEEP classification. We have new societal aspects, new technologies. We have the economical aspects, environmental issues and political drivers. Potentially those drivers which are putting stress and pressure on our food system can evolve in emerging hazards. And we are focusing on the one hand, chemical hazards, and on the other hand, microbial hazards in the project. And then in the third phase of the project, we are coming in now. It's more about risk mitigation and resilience. So what can we do to anticipate or to be ready to absorb these emerging hazards and potential risks. And therefore we look on two levels, so what risk managers could do more on the policy level, but also we are looking to food business operators with their food safety management system. How can they be ready to absorb and to deal with these new emerging hazards? Yes, so if we talk about risk emergence, of course we have the known hazards and known risks which are well characterized. Always it becomes then a question due to the drivers and stresses which are out there. Do we have a higher increase or do we have a higher exposure? So when our normal risks are becoming abnormal risks or even can go to super risks. So this is what we also would like to anticipate on with FoodSafeR. This is how the FoodSafeR is built, so our architecture. The first work package was about identification of those drivers and what is pushing our food system in terms of food safety. On the one hand, we have then the microbial work which is done, the chemical work which is done. Everything is coming together in our open digital hub, which Christina will immediately explain more about. So there we really want to bring actors like you together to debate and to discuss and also to exchange information about upcoming things. And in the last work package, we are looking, okay, how can we anticipate on that? So then we talk about future-proof food safety management systems and also the lifelong learning material that we are developing, because we also want to give something back to the community, not only for scientists, but also for peers, for consumers, that there is material available for them to look at. So these drivers and sub-drivers, according to the STEEP categorization, if we think about societal drivers, and it was also mentioned in the first presentation from Marta Huga this morning, consumer behavior, of course, is really driving a lot of our food system. And we know that consumer behavior and consumption trends are really changing now rapidly. So for sure, this will have an impact on the hazards that we are exposed to, and also it will have an impact on the whole food system actors. Demographic development is another identified sub-driver, health and well-being, etc. So overall, we were identifying over these 5 categories, in total 39 sub-drivers, which are putting pressure on our food safety hazards and our food system. So within the microbial work, and Lauren will immediately explain a bit more about the persistence of Listeria. So some case studies were selected which were like under investigated or under controlled transmission paths. So we would like to know a bit more about the transfer of bacterial pathogens, for instance, in ethical food or artisanal food, or the last mile delivery. We have seen since COVID, in every city you see people biking, whatever, around with foods. So how is the food safety situation of that type of food? Also homemade fermentations, which is very popular. You get all these YouTube influencers who are giving advices and recipes. The question is, how safe is that? And also aquaponics, which is a quite novel urban agriculture technique to combine production with fish production. So these were like food parts which were not so well investigated yet. Okay, and then there is also a topic on emerging viruses and also a part on antimicrobial resistance research in agriculture. So this is really about hazard identification and understanding risk factors. How is the food chain being contaminated by which type of bacterial pathogens? So also on the chemical route, we've selected some specific cases. So one case is really on the horizon scanning of the mycotoxins, work which is already going on for several years and which is being continued also in FoodSafeR. There is also a work which is done related to process contaminants. Yes, and then also the case of the food fraud, so the illegal addition of toxic metals, and then the turmeric death case study was selected. Anyway, the big question is also how food business operators can be ready to capture all these pressures and to deal with those new hazards or hazards in a different setting. So that's why we also zoom in on how to make food safety management systems, which are existing out of quality control, quality assurance activities, how to make them resilient so that our food safety output of a business can be kept on the same level. For instance, if we get cereals with higher contaminations of mycotoxins, so what can be a plan B for a business to deal with that? Because of course you don't want to have that those end products are highly contaminated with the mycotoxins. So the resilience principle is quite important because shocks can happen and will always happen. And if a shock is happening, you have a certain impact, so your food safety level goes down. But then the question is how to go back and how quick can this go. So the time component to recover from a certain shock, it will be very important for food businesses, of course. And then the question is also, will you end up at the same level you had before the shock, or will you be just below that level? So in which way can you fully recover after such a shock? So this is the hub, but I will not spend too much time on that because Christina will immediately explain. So as we said, we try to bring in all the material and not just as a regular website, but really as an interactive platform to have like a food safety community in there. And well, she will immediately explain. So we are looking in FoodSafeR to those drivers which are changing our food safety status in the future. We are zooming in on some particular case studies to have more targeted hazard identification and risk factor information. And then we are also looking to our food safety management systems, so how they can be ready for the future for our food businesses. So this is in a snapshot what the project is about. And now we will have 3 presentations with some more in-depth information about certain parts of the projects. Yes, so Christina, it's your turn now.